Have you ever met someone who made you feel like the most important person in the world? Someone who showered you with compliments, attention, gifts, and promises so intense that you started to believe you had finally found true love, destiny, or a soulmate. At first, it feels intoxicating, like a dream come true. But what if I told you that this overwhelming affection isn't love at all? What if it's a psychological trick designed to trap you, hook you, and eventually destroy you? This tactic has a name. It's called love bombing, and it is one of the most dangerous weapons in the arsenal of dark psychology. Love bombing looks beautiful on the surface, but beneath it lies manipulation and control. It is a tactic that abusers, narcissists, cult leaders, and even marketers use to capture your trust and make you emotionally dependent. Victims often don't realize what's happening until it's too late. And by then, the love that once felt like salvation has turned into chains. To understand why love bombing works, let's start with what it really is. Love bombing is an excessive display of affection, attention, and praise, designed not to build genuine love, but to overwhelm you and break down your defenses. It creates an emotional high, flooding your brain with dopamine, oxytocin, and serotonin. These chemicals make you feel euphoric, bonded, and deeply connected. In that state, your critical thinking weakens. You become more willing to trust, to forgive, and to ignore red flags. The manipulator now has you exactly where they want you. Psychologists describe love bombing as a cycle. In the beginning, the manipulator gives you everything you've ever wanted. Constant messages, intense compliments, grand gestures. They rush the relationship, talking about marriage, moving in, or soul connections after only a few days. You feel special, chosen, even addicted to the attention. But once they've secured your loyalty, the affection begins to disappear. The texts become less frequent, the compliments turn into criticisms. The gifts are replaced by demands. You start to crave the love that once consumed you, and in chasing it, you fall deeper under their control. This cycle is not accidental, it is engineered. Love bombing exploits the brain's reward system. Every burst of affection is like a hit of a drug. And just like a drug, withdrawal is painful. Victims often describe feeling desperate, confused, and obsessed with getting back to the good times. This is exactly how the manipulator maintains control, by giving love, taking it away, and making the victim dependent on their approval for happiness. In relationships, love bombing often comes from narcissists. They enter your life like a whirlwind, convincing you that no one has ever loved you like they do. They promise a future filled with romance, adventure, and devotion. But as time passes, the mask slips. The same person who once called you perfect now calls you ungrateful. The one who once said they couldn't live without you now makes you feel worthless. And yet, because you tasted the intoxicating flood of affection, you cling to the hope it will return. That hope keeps you trapped. Consider the story of a woman named Emily. She met a man online who seemed perfect. On their first date, he told her she was the most beautiful woman he had ever met. Within a week, he was sending her flowers daily, texting her good morning and good night without fail, and talking about marriage. Emily felt like she was living a fairy tale, but 3 months later, the fairy tale crumbled. The texts slowed, the compliments stopped. He began criticizing her clothes, her friends, her job. When Emily confronted him, he snapped, "You're lucky I even put up with you." By then, Emily was hooked. She remembered the man who once adored her, and she thought if she just tried harder, she could bring him back. She couldn't see that the love bombing was never real. It was bait. But love bombing doesn't just happen in romantic relationships. Cults are notorious for using this tactic. When new recruits arrive, they are showered with affection, validation, and a sense of belonging. Members tell them they are special, chosen, part of a family. The recruit feels seen and loved in ways they never have before. But once they are invested, the cult introduces rules, demands, and punishments. The initial flood of love disappears, leaving the recruit desperate to earn it back. This is how cult leaders keep followers loyal, even when the group becomes destructive. Jim Jones of the People's Temple used love bombing extensively, convincing thousands of people that he was their savior before leading them into tragedy. Marshall Applewhite of Heaven's Gate promised unconditional love and cosmic belonging before guiding his followers to mass suicide. In both cases, love bombing was the hook. Even in marketing and business, love bombing shows up. Companies bombard customers with discounts, free gifts, and personalized messages, making them feel valued and important. But once you're locked into their ecosystem, the perks fade and the costs rise. Politicians also use love bombing, promising everything to win votes, only to replace affection with control once in power. The danger of love bombing is that it feels so good at first. Victims often mistake it for true love, destiny, or divine connection. They ignore warning signs because the high is irresistible. And by the time they realize something is wrong, they are already addicted. So how can you recognize love bombing before it traps you? Look for intensity that feels too much, too fast. If someone you just met floods you with attention, talks about your future together within days, or constantly praises you as perfect, it may not be love. Genuine love grows over time. Love bombing explodes overnight. Another red flag is inconsistency. If the affection suddenly stops, if the warmth turns to coldness, and if you find yourself working harder and harder to get back the early magic, you may already be caught in the cycle. Protecting yourself requires boundaries. When affection feels overwhelming, slow things down. Pay attention to how the person reacts when you set limits. A manipulator will pressure you, guilt you, or punish you. A genuine partner will respect your pace. Talk to trusted friends and family. Outside perspectives can help you see patterns you may be blind to. And remember this: real love doesn't make you anxious, desperate, or afraid. Real love doesn't demand that you ignore your instincts. The truth about love bombing is terrifying because it forces us to question the very thing we all crave most: love itself. If love can be turned into a weapon, how do we ever know what's real? This is the haunting question victims of love bombing are left with. Some recover, rebuilding trust slowly. Others carry scars that make every future relationship feel dangerous. But awareness is the first step. By learning how love bombing works, by seeing its patterns, you arm yourself against it. You begin to trust your instincts again. You reclaim the ability to say no. And most importantly, you remember that genuine love is patient, respectful, and consistent. It doesn't have to be overwhelming to be real. So the next time someone sweeps you off your feet, ask yourself, are they really loving you, or are they just love bombing you? Because if love can be faked, manipulated, and weaponized, then the most important defense you have is awareness. And if you've ever wondered whether you've experienced love bombing, you're not alone. Millions of people are waking up to the reality of this dark psychology tactic. The real question is, will you recognize it before it's too late? Subscribe to Mind Control Z to uncover more secrets of dark psychology, manipulation, and mind control, because only knowledge can protect your mind.